2% increase for classified, and almost $85,000 increase across the board in employer per se and insurance expenses. As you can see on page 2 of the general fund revenues, by comparing last year's budget to this year, there is only about a $93,000 projected increase in revenue. This won't be enough to cover the above increases, so it will require us to dip into our projected rollover for the 26-27 budget. The only added general fund account is $100.691. I budgeted $200,000 overall in this account to now pay for our student information systems, the Tyler District accounting system, and digital and physical curriculum. In the past, that was just kind of pulled wherever we saw fit, or it was also pulled from technology dollars, and we are seeing a significant increase in technology dollars for this year, so I added that fund. And please at any time feel free to interrupt me as we're going through these if you have any questions. Moving on to the next fund.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So let me get this straight. So we're going to spend $250,000
a successful program. Because of this, we did not have to increase paid lunch prices going into this next school year. Fund 310 is bond redemption and interest. Money received for this fund comes from both taxpayer dollars from each county and state support. Money received goes directly to both our bond and interest payments each year. Fund 420 is our plant facilities fund. This money comes directly from each county with their monthly remittance checks. I then transfer the money from our bank into our LGIP plant facility account to grow interest on it. Because of the school district modernization funds, we did not receive any new plant facility dollars this past year. Going forward, we will receive the money based on the levy passed by taxpayers. Fund 424 is the school bus reserve fund. This is an account we started 2 years ago. We're going into the third year, and we are transferring $40,000 each year into a reserve fund for bus purchases. The last bus we purchased was roughly $123,000, and we have goals to purchase a new bus every 3 years. This fund helps cover a majority of that cost by taking a small general fund transfer each year, rather than one large purchase every 3 years. And then finally, our new fund is Fund 436, the School District Modernization Fund. This is the only new fund added for this coming year. We have spent to date about $94,000 of our original $1.278 million. This money will continue to be held in the LGIP account to grow interest on until we have large facility expenses come up.
What is the interest on that?
Last time I checked, it was 4.55%, I believe. So it's consistently dropping about 0.1 every month.
And that interest goes back into the general fund?
It does, yeah. I do a transfer each month into our general fund.
What is it monthly? What is the interest that you get on it monthly?
4.55%. So anywhere from, I think the last transfer I did was $4,800. Yeah.
How many more years do we have on our bond?
I need to double check on that. I'm pulling audit documents now. I can let you guys know at the next board meeting. I don't remember where we were at last year.
So do you have a rough estimate of how much our general fund balance will decrease with the budget you presented?
I wish I could. At the time when I solidified this budget, we were at a different staffing currently when I entered that. We still had a teacher here that has since left, and then we swapped a new teacher for the existing teacher that we had. So I need to readjust, look at salaries and benefits, and see roughly what that rollover would look like for 26, 27. But
It won't be as bad as.
no. We shouldn't see as high of a percentage decrease in rollover as we did going from last year to this year, unless the percentage of everything else just continues to rise. But who at this point, who really knows?
Any other questions for Kendall?
month so far. All the new Chromebooks have been inventoried and assigned. Fourth grade's been deployed to the classroom. 7th and 9th graders will be issued at a time determined by the admin at KHS. All the leftover 2024 inventory that we had that we didn't use during the year has been moved to 2nd grade to refresh their cart. That's kind of the plan, is the static carts that we have, as they need new Chromebooks, we just move them in there, and then we pull the old ones out and use those as loaners because they were in pretty good shape. So, Power School rollover has been completed, and the portal will open for registration late July, August, somewhere in there, once we get all the forms updated and all the rest of that. The new web filter has been deployed for students, and we're working on the staff changeover right now. So we've had an issue with our phone carrier. It's been going on a long time, but the ticket that I have open with them started in August of '24. And basically, the long and short of it is we were having issues calling like inland cellular numbers, a lot of cell phone carriers. And we've been working with TDS over the course of the year. And their solution for us is to change the handoff of the technology of how it comes into the district. We're one of the 2 last in their area to have the older technology. It's the same price, it's just the handoff is different coming to us. And so they were saying that before they were willing to continue to troubleshoot this any further, we needed to basically upgrade to the, is that right, fine, we're out of school, we can cut this stuff over. The problem with it is that for the back end, it's a lot more complicated, so I'm having to engage some engineers to help with that, especially because it has to now pipe through the firewall. It's basically a direct internet connection from them. Once we've completed this cutover, we're going to have to test everything all over again to make sure that the phones are all working, E911 still working correctly, and then we go back to testing long distance. Now the nice thing about it is, if there is a nice thing, I'm trying to find a positive out of it. Should we determine that the issue is fully with TDS and they can't fix it, we now are in the position to switch carriers if we need to, whereas we couldn't before. So you can just go buy a SIP trunk from various providers and actually probably get a better deal, but that remains to be seen. So that should be completed before school gets back in. They've already been out twice to try to get equipment installed. And so now they've handed it off to us, and now we have to begin testing. So that's started. On our security front, one of the people that we used to use, the MSI SAC, which is they provided some services for us where they had lost all their a good chunk of their funding. They're moving to a paid model for the time being. Membership for us is not going to be that expensive, so we may just purchase that. I think $300 or $400 for us to have it for the course of the year. I did have a meeting today about some preliminary talk about a new provider that would replace the Cyberdome. I'm still getting details at this point. They're working some stuff on their end we're making sure everything is kosher, and then figure out exactly what it is, if there's going to be a cost to it and how bad that's going to be. But that is probably the most linear of all the moves that we can make. And then kind of timely enough, District 93, Bonneville announced a breach today, so they're completely offline. So I'm moving very quickly, and as is everybody on this, to try and get this finalized so we can put this back into place and increase our posture. And then one of the other things we're working on this summer is inventory. We're moving from our old inventory system to putting everything in the new inventory module in Power School. So there's a lot of, my summer help is really hating spreadsheets at this point. We're trying to get all that data moved over. So that's what we've got going on right now. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Principal's report.
Don't have anything this time.
So what do you do when you put the driver's ed?
What do I do left?
What happened, what did you do when you put the driver's ed?
Oh, I sat and I learned some great material for this year. I went there, that was in May,
since had everything finalized with that. So Kendall and I met with Chad Ransom today from Morton. I included the new plan, I'll talk about a few highlights of it. I also, I don't know if it's listed there, but we have, it's probably somewhere in here, but essentially, if you look through the plan, we believe, and Morgan Company expressed this as well, is that the coverage is better, especially when it comes to facilities. The deductibles are better. Some of the things that maybe were highlights with, say, like property, our previous plan would cover the policy amount plus 10%. This policy will cover the overall cost no matter what. Like I said, deductibles are better. There is a lot of the same things available, like anything personnel related. There's still that coverage for us as long as we contact them first and start a file. We still have the ISBA hours for our attorneys that's available and covered. Cyber, anything cyber related, the coverage got better. So it's a better policy, but we're also paying more too. It's going to cost about $9,000 more.
Yeah, it was a 25% increase.
Yeah, so it's a big jump. So it went from up to about $44,000, the annual cost. Chad expressed, and sorry to tell him, but Chad, was somewhat optimistic that it would stabilize. Time will tell. So, any questions regarding insurance? Okay, that's yours to take if you want to look through it. Just looking forward to the rest of the summer, we'll have in July, we'll have a discussion item and start talking about the levy and what we would like to do there. If we want to run it in November again, which is what I think folks expressed last time, we'll have to have a resolution in August that we approve. So I'll talk about it next month. Consider a resolution in August. That's all I have. Any questions?
I have a question for you. There's just, how did I never really hear the phone thing, was it
Yeah.
pretty good or?
Yeah. My impression of it was that it was really successful.
Okay.
There's
I didn't hear anything bad about it, so I was just curious if it was good.
I just standing out there scrolling, not engaging with anybody. So that part's been positive. Yeah, the stuff that we have for junior high has been really good. I think the first lunch and high school lunches utilized it, not as much, but a little bit. You know, we bought cornhole boards, they were over there, not anymore. We got cornhole boards that we put out here and then the gaga pit. And that gaga pit it occupies that first lunch crew, probably about 20 to 25 kids from start to finish at lunch. So I mean, I think that's the majority of the kids at lunch. High school kids use the cornhole boards at times, not the gaga pit, but that's good.
Is the gym open for shooting or stuff like that lunchtime too, or is that?
First lunch it is, when the weather's not good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there's kids in there. Yeah. What we found is that when that stuff is out there and it's decent enough, because we open up both spaces, most kids go there. Now we just have a few kids going to the gym. Another question? Okay, trustee report.
I don't know if it's a report, but this is from Steve. The fire department called me tonight to ask about the potential putting some of their trucks in the bus barn. Now, they're looking, they have to store them inside, and they're stored outside right now, and they wanted to talk to you, whether, they wanted my opinion, I didn't give it to them about putting it there, maybe remodeling it so they can store them and heat them, and then compensate us for the power cost to heat that, so.
To heat it.
Yeah, cause the water will freeze. They wouldn't contract it. They would, if we agreed to put it there, they would like to fund a remodel.
Take that, oh, I see.
Still a few days, so they could include it,
I see.
heat it, and then pay us for the power.
Gotcha.
You know,
Okay.
that was like an hour ago, so I got the call. So I don't know what people think or what you guys wanna do, but that was passed on to me, passed on to me.
Maybe you and I, before the next meeting, can we get some details ironed out and have a discussion?
Oh, I have one more. That's not the bus stuff, but, so I was concerned a little bit, so my little grandson is playing t-ball down there. And so as I'm walking through the field, I tripped over a speakerhead. Is that just temporary, or is that how they're gonna be above ground?
Well, they've been working on it.
I just didn't know if it was just to get more water out for right now, and then they'll make it so they can go back under the ground.
Well, they've been adjusting all of them.
Okay.
We should go on and make that.
Yeah, was it wasn't,
Oh no, the whole head was up, like, not far above the ground. So I was like, well, maybe they're just working on it.
yeah, there's about same as any other sport, even if it's, say, like, track or basketball or volleyball, where it's, say, like 1 week or 2 weeks. But it's basically just compensation for those extra days worked, but it's a flat rate. That was, I think, the only other thing.
I think so, too.
Credit reimbursement stayed the same. The language in the master agreement stayed the same. The addendum at the end of the master agreement, the $1,500 reimbursement for vision or dental, stayed the same. Yeah, insurance increased a little bit, $82. That's what the employee, the district.
The district, yeah.
Went up a lot. No questions? No question about it?
1%.